a job. So imagine that, like, I'm a very type A person and I like to be productive either in work or either in honing my skills. And that one I can't do anything about. And during that time, my TikTok was kind of like blowing up. And I track not just the ROAS, which is the return on ad spend. And for me, what I like to look at is not just the return on ad spend. I also look at basically the overall profit. So how much are you paying your contractors? How much are you paying for socials? How much are you paying for email marketing? So it's an overall strategy. We value more on, let's say, for paid ads, we value more on the new customer acquisition. Yeah. I do a lot of manifestations as well, but it's always like, yes, you manifest, but it's not like, people always think that manifestation is just like saying it out loud
Mm-hmm.
or like writing it down. But no, you actually have to put in some work as well and find your enablers and find the people that like kind of like connects you to this. It's not just gonna happen like right away with those things.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lormai and I'm a marketer. Today I will be interviewing e-commerce expert Marie Tuason. She's so cool. She is 27. She owns her own business. She travels freaking everywhere. If you want to know more about how to actually manifest things and then also the nitty-gritty, very technical kind of marketing stuff for e-commerce businesses, like what metrics to track, this is definitely the video for you. But before we get into it, I would love if you could just hit subscribe and like, it would mean a lot to me. And without further ado, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the podcast. Today we have on Marie Tuason. Is that how I pronounce it?
Close enough. It's
No,
Tuason.
tell me. Tuason? Okay, that's cool. I love that. I always like to pronounce people's names right. But yeah, such a joy to have you on the podcast today. So I first saw Marie on LinkedIn and she was talking about her travels, I think, in that post. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a girl after my own heart, because when I first quit my job and started going around, I was traveling a lot as well, doing the digital nomad thing. And I just think you're so cool. You're so into yoga and marketing, and you can tell from your posts that you really know your stuff. So I would love for you to introduce yourself in your own words to start.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Marie. I am a unapologetic island girl, I would say, but currently stuck in a big city just for work. I have two businesses. I have an e-commerce marketing agency. We help e-com businesses scale for generations. And my yoga hippie side also makes retreats. Laura already told you a little bit about myself. I'm a yoga teacher, so I host retreats in Asia and in Latin America, when kind of like coinciding my nomad adventures. I am a semi-nomad. I call myself a semi-nomad because I still do have an home base, and maybe half of the year or a little bit more than half of a year, I kind of go somewhere else and enjoy the culture and then come back. And I've been doing this lifestyle for about 5 years now, a little bit before COVID happened, and it just got accelerated more when COVID came. And on my free time, I like to surf and I like to do yoga and I like to do acro yoga.
That's so cool. So you said you're in Europe in a big city. Where are you at right now?
Well, my base is in Valencia.
Oh
It's
my
a small
gosh.
enough. Yeah, have you been?
No, I never have.
Yeah, there are plenty of like Americans here actually who do like language assistants. So they teach English here, and I met a couple of them here as well. So that is kind of like my city base. But right now, currently, I'm in Bansko in Bulgaria, in like on top of a mountain. There is a
What?
Nomad festival that's happening next week, so I'm gonna be a speaker there. And I said, you know what? I'll stay here a week before, and honestly, I'm loving it. Like right behind, I don't know if I can show you, but like right beside my window, you can see the Balkans right there. So
Wow.
I'm considering like staying, and that's always the whole thing about nomadism, right? You're like, I'm only here for 2 weeks, but why don't I extend another month and another month? So who knows what's gonna happen?
That is so cool. So you said that you started your own businesses and stuff in COVID, or started living this lifestyle in COVID. What kind of pushed you to do that, and what were you doing before?
Sure. My past life, I would say, that's how I describe it, is my
Mm.
background is in medical engineering. So
No
it's a
way.
complete, Yeah, it's a
That's
complete 180.
crazy.
I had a medical degree, a medical engineering degree rather, and I was working in Germany that time. And I started my company started introducing remote work, and I started using it. And when COVID hit, it was just a lot of restrictions, and I kind of fell out of love of engineering. So I said, "All right, I'm gonna quit my job." I got burned out basically. I said, and
Mm,
I have a plan for a whole year to just relax, do my yoga teacher training, surf, and just do something for myself. And throughout that 1 year, was supposed to be a 1 year plan, the universe had other plans. So 4 months in, I broke my arm, and
oh my
I
gosh.
really did not know what to do. I couldn't surf, I couldn't do yoga, I had an identity crisis because I don't have a job. So imagine that, like, I'm a very type A person, and I like to be productive either in work or either in honing my skills, and that one I can't do anything about. And during that time, my TikTok was kind of like blowing up. And it's not
Mm,
like TikTok where I was just like dancing or whatever. TikTok was really kind of like personal branding. It was about personal development, how to move abroad, basically what I'm talking to you about now. And I was like, maybe I can do something around the lines of content creation, because I did it on myself. I could definitely do
mhm,
it for businesses. Spoiler alert, that does not work usually. But it was great because throughout the months, I kind of like learned a lot more about like how to market through UGC. And so I was working a lot with e-commerce businesses. And I'm a fast learner, and I like to do a lot with data. I think that's where my engineering, let's say, background came into place. And I at some point I realized that my content was doing really well for ads, for organic. But if the person who does the ads, who actually makes the ads, does not work well, or if the website is not doing well, if the email is not doing well, it just defeats the purpose. So I was
mm,
looking for a more integrative approach to help these e-commerce businesses, and to also kind of like help them remove the burden of hiring freelancers one by one. So I'm like, all right, let me just do it. We'll have a singular campaign for all of these services, so that all of these freelancers actually talk to one another and get things done by itself. And that's how I came into making my own agency for
mhm.
e-commerce. The retreats basically came along the journey. I've been basically bringing people back to the Philippines for a while already. And when I got my yoga teacher training, I realized, I'm like, this is actually something that I also want to do. I want to do a sustainable way of traveling to different places that even the locals are involved in this experience. So that's kind of like what I was doing, because I was thinking, it's not gonna like take a lot of my time. I can still work on the e-commerce agency. And that's how it kind of like blew up. I said I'm gonna do it only once a year, and then it became 3 times a year. And now
Wow.
we're gonna expand to Latin America next year. So it's an amazing journey, and I'm enjoying the journey basically.
That's so awesome. I feel like you just came so far and you took so many risks and, just kind of went with the change of life. I think that's really hard for a lot of people to do, to be so adaptable and find resilience in something that's as difficult as like breaking your arm on the year where you're supposed to be like taking for yourself. Like a lot of people would just take that as a sign from the universe that you're on the wrong path. But I think that's where kind of champions are made, right? Like when you're just like, this sucks, but like this is what I really want and I'm going to figure this out. I don't want to go back to who I was. So I really admire you for that. I with your e-commerce stuff, what are the things that you specialize in? What do you think that you're best at, I guess? Like, because I know you're talking about like paid ads, that sort of stuff, but if you had to pick like one thing, like where you're just like, I could just do this over and over again and I know that I will win, what is that thing for you and how do you do it?
Myself in itself, because I have a team now, I would say
Mm-hmm.
like me and my team, I always think about it as a team. Obviously, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to do like, we don't specialize in service, we specialize in a client, which I think is a
Mm-hmm.
better way of viewing things. So we specialize in e-commerce, we breathe e-commerce.
Mm-hmm.
Like email, like a generic email marketer can do well with, let's say, with SaaS products, but he might not be doing well with e-commerce products. And same
Mm,
goes as like someone who's doing a really good job at paid ads in e-commerce might not do well in SaaS products.
mm,
So we're just doing everything in e-commerce. If you're asking me as an individual what my role is in my company, is I do the strategy and I
right.
do usually the campaigns. So everything from top level I laid out to my employees basically.
Hmm. So how many people do you have working for you now?
Right now we have five.
That's crazy. So what are kind of some of the leadership lessons that you've learned hiring people, and what are some things that you wish you had known sooner?
Ooh, a lot. um, I think one of the biggest thing, and it's a recurring thing really for agency owners, is that it's a struggle to hire the right people. You
Hmm.
will need No one will love your business as much as you do,
Right.
and the people who are taking initiative, the people who are really like above and beyond, they're most of them are going to be temporary
Hmm.
because they also want to have their own business, they also want to
Right.
have their own thing. I'm very blessed with my employees, and we're a small team, but I'm very blessed with them because they rely on me. What first is for the leadership, for the experience, and for growth.
Mm.
I'm I My company is less than 2 years old, but we're growing faster than what we thought would be, and it's all because of the synergy that we have in the team, and at the same time, we're coming from a place of abundance, which is
Mm.
not a lot. Like a lot of freelancers, they're always being like, "Oh, I have to do this, or I have to do this. I have to think," and the way you treat your employees is something really, really like important, because they and eventually, these freelancers, they would find someone else who can give them like better payment, but
Hmm.
better opportunities, better growth, and a better work-life balance, which is something of our one of our values always, is something that I can offer to them.
That's so cool. So what are some of the ways that you keep them accountable, I guess? Like how do you make sure that they're upholding, say, like the values or doing their job? Like what are some of the ways that you're able to keep them on track?
Systematically, we have like, I'm a very systems person, so I always have these like trackers and click up dashboards. It's Everything is there. It's not like a way for me to kind of like micromanage, but it's more of a
Mm-hmm.
way to actually remind them, and in a psychological event, because they see everything there. They're kind of like, oh, I actually need to finish this before this due date, or oh,
Mm.
I actually need to finish this before this. We do have like the monthly check-ins as well, and it's not like just check-ins on the work as well. Some of them I also know about what happens in their family, or
Right.
what do they want from there. It's a very personal approach. Obviously at the start I would also ask them like, how do you want this relationship to be? Do you want us to be here as a family, or do you want us to be here just as a, let's say, mentor mentee relationship, or just a boss and employee relationship? It's not something that
Mm.
we're kind of just like, uh, we have to kind of like establish this also for the expectations of people. This is also coming from a lot of hires and fires and hire and rehires, all of these things, and eventually, like, we have a solid team right now.
That's awesome. So now a bit more of a fun question. So with your growing team and with your business going the way it's going, say an investor came tomorrow and they put $100 million into your business, what would you do with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not fun. It's a pressure, it's a pressure question, huh?
All right, we'll relieve some of the pressure. You don't have to pay the money back.
If I don't have to pay the money back, honestly, we're gonna go on trips. We're gonna go on retreats. I'm that kind of cool person. Yeah, we're gonna invest in like a house or something like that. So I'm at that kind of time now. And I'm like, I really invest in a lot in experiences and also
Mm,
connections. I think that's one of like how I get a lot of my clients is not through
right.
online. It's really through one-on-one connections. So if I were to get more capital, I would actually invest that in bringing me and my team to more events and more conferences, and that's where
Mm,
we can like grow a lot more, understand more like what's happening in the space, especially marketing. It's always it's every 3 months there's something new that's happening, and we kind of need to be always on the loop on that thing. So, and also networking, it's always great. That's basically the reason for my growth.
I feel so similarly. I actually think that you and I have a lot in common. What are some of your like best networking tips?
Number one is to hop on a call like this as well. I mean, either on podcasts or on calls. That's my cheaper way of doing it. um, and really put that in your calendar. It's kind of like, how other people would be like, "Oh, I can't find a partner or a boyfriend or a
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend." It's also because you're not dating.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like something that you have to put in your calendar. You have to put at least. When I started out as well, I was like putting once a week coffee calls with people, and it does drain you, but at some point you would figure out which ones you actually want to do and which
Mm,
ones you don't want to do, right? The other thing would be to hop on conferences where your ideal clients would be, not on conferences like um, for that you can learn, but more on where your ideal clients are.
mm,
And number three is honestly, for me at least, it really depends. For me, because I'm an agency and people hire me for the implementation, I share everything. 100% of what I learn, I share. So
mm,
I don't really hide things, and I that's basically why people trust me. If you were, let's say, if you were doing an online course and or having an ebook, obviously there is something that you have to kind of like keep them in the hidden, let's say. But I don't have that yet, and I just want to share and share and share, and the more I, let's say, I give value, the more that people are going to give it back to me.
I love that because that's so true. The more you give to the world, like one of my favorite things is that this guy named Rory Vaden, he says, you can't outgive God. And no matter what your religion, no matter what your spirituality sort of thing is, like, you know that if you put out good energy, you will just get it back somehow, even if it's not directly the way that you gave it, which I absolutely love. The other thing that I love that you said, you were like, people go on, like, they're like, why can't I find a partner? And they don't go on dates. It's like, that law of manifestation stuff on TikTok drives me crazy because you can't just sit there and expect the perfect thing to fall into your lap. I think that's so funny.
Yeah, yeah. I do a lot of manifestations as well, but it's always like, yes, you manifest, but it's not like, people always think that manifestation is just like saying it out loud
Hmm.
or like writing it down. But no, you actually have to put in some work as well and find your enablers and find the people that like kind of like connects you to this. It's not just gonna
Mm.
happen like right away with those things.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I get that. And I think your version of manifestation is different than the mainstream version of manifestation, which, like I said, is just say that you want something and sit there and be like, why isn't it happening to me? Something
Yeah.
that we say in my church is like ask and then act sort of thing. So you have to obviously visualize what you want and believe that you can get it, but you have to act to get there as well. So I love that kind of balanced mindset that you have because it's very clear that you're someone who chases goals and knows what you want. But the other thing that I admire about you is you are in touch with that spiritual feminine side as well that allows you to slow down and take a rest. I think that's also probably what makes you a really good leader too. So yeah, I'm really impressed by you. I guess the other question I have is like, what sort of entrepreneurs do you look up to? Is there anyone in particular who inspired you along the way?
There's a lot that are, let's say, beneficial to my growth, let's say. I can't really just name one. There's a lot. Like right now in LinkedIn, Courtney Johnson. She was
Mm.
actually, I had a call with her. It was supposed to be a 1 hour call, and it became like 3 hours because we just
Oh
kind
my
of
gosh.
like really like it was just an amazing time that we had. And it was like, okay, do you still have time? I'm like, yeah. Like, we talked a lot, and then I see her growing a lot more and a lot more. We kind of like drifted apart, but we're still like, I still see her from the distance. She's really one of the people that like, inspired me a lot, and like especially in like spending money, and because I have like kind of before, especially with like a rich dad poor dad mindset on the poor
Mm.
dad side, and I'm like, oh, I don't
Mm.
want to spend these things. And then she's like, no, you have to do this, you have to do that. Is basically what I did. So she's one of the people that I really look up to. And other people that I looked up to are just more of like my personal connections that people might not know. So I'm gonna be like shouting out to you, like if someone sees this, like Gonzalo and Abby and whatever. Yeah. Char. Okay, so yeah, these are smaller creators, but they're quietly selling, which I love.
Hmm.
And they're choosing the lifestyle that I also want, which is something that's more in the background. But I see it, like like I see how happy they are. I see how content they are with like the lifestyle that they have, and it's something that I've always wanted to be in as well.
I love that. And have you heard of the thousand true fans thing?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I think about that all the time because when I think about my social media journey, like the best things have come from this really small amount of people that I know and just have interacted with in a way that's actually meaningful.
Yeah.
So
I
I,
mean, I
I love
came
that. Sorry, what were you going to say?
no, because I came from both sides. Like
Mm-hmm.
I told you, my TikTok kind of blew up. So at some point, I had like I wouldn't say like a million, but I had like around 80,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
And these followers, they were engaging with me, but these were not the right followers for me because they weren't really giving me the value that I needed or the support that I needed that
Yeah.
in that time. Basically, they were following me because they needed something from me. I was a value
Mm-hmm.
based creator. There's like these two
Right.
kinds of creators where like the value based where people follow you because they need something from you, and there's this personality based creator where people follow you because they like your personality, they like what you're doing. They like your lifestyle as well. So now I'm kind of like building myself up again from as a personality based creator, and I appreciate that. I have like 3,000 followers, and I appreciate every single one of them because they know me as me and they like me as me. Whereas the value based creators, even the people on LinkedIn, the people are there. A lot of them are also just like they're following me because of my tips. They're following me because of what I'm doing. Um, but it's not, and I like that. I inspire them in terms of numbers. I do like to have a lot of followers because it means I can inspire a lot more people. But in terms of getting support from people,
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have 1,000 followers that can actually be more influential in my growth.
That's so cool. And in terms of like, I kind of want to bring it back to the marketing side a little bit. So I saw a post about the main metrics you track. So can you walk me through that a little bit and talk about the way that you optimize those numbers, like things like ROAS and stuff like that?
Yeah, so this can be very let's say a lot more like jargony for especially for people who are not in ecom or not in paid ads. For me, actually, I track not just the ROAS, which is the return on ad spend. Return on ad spend is like something that it's more like when they are when you how much you place on ads, and how much you basically sold the product. So what's the return on the ad spend. And for me, what I like to look at is not just the return on ad spend. I also look at basically the overall profit. So how much are you paying your contractors? How much are you paying for socials? How much are you paying for email marketing? So it's an overall strategy.
Mm,
And the reason why it's for this as well is because we value more on, let's say, from paid ads, we value more on the new customer acquisition. And whereas for email marketing, SMS marketing, these are for return ROAS. So that's kind of like how I see it. I'm like, okay, advertisements, these are for people who are like new and they want to know what you're doing. So if you're new to to advertising as well, if you're new to e-commerce, the best thing you should actually really follow first is your new customer acquisition costs, seeing that it's way lower than your product costs. And in the start, obviously, it's going to be bigger. Normally, for us, an experience around 4 to 6 weeks is kind of like when it actually goes down because Facebook, Meta, TikTok, the algorithm already knows, okay, these are your target clients. And the way to actually kind of like figure out if it's working or not is to do variations on your ads. So usually video is the number one that's converting right now. Second is carousels, and then third is image, and then your dynamic ads.
Mhm.
So when you're doing, especially with video and carousels, figure out, okay, if you switch the first 3 seconds, does it matter? And we usually, when we provide assets to our clients, we usually have like a set. This is like for super super basic. We have a set of ads. We would do like two different concepts, usually two different concepts for the same target market, same demographic, same angle, and then just two or three different hook variations. So you will know after 48 hours, you'll be like, all right, this one with this hook is doing well. All right, we continue this. This one with this hook is not doing well, kill it. And the biggest takeaway for me, especially with ads, is don't close it uh, too early. Like, don't kill it
Mhm.
too early because it might take a while first. So there's a lot of metrics that are happening there, but as in someone new, and especially when you're introducing new ads, focus on new customer acquisition costs, and then you will focus on ROAS.
I love that. That's so cool. And really useful information as well, for sure. Like it shows your expertise and, the way that you test these things. It also shows kind of your STEM background as well. You definitely have a very analytical mind, which is awesome. Uh, I guess one of the final questions, I've got two more for you, is I would love to hear just any travel experience, any story that you've had being a semi-nomad that you felt made you stronger.
Hmm. I was saying something like that actually, because recently, even actually just last night, there was this one guy that I met on a nomad dinner,
Mm.
and I sat beside him. I said hi, hello, and he said, "I met you 3 years ago.
Oh
We
my
were playing
gosh.
beach volleyball." And I don't know, I didn't remember him at all. And we then he reminded me of what he does and everything, and I was like, oh my god, yes, I remember you. And it's like it's these small interactions that you have. If you actually one of the my takeaways there was, if you actually are so genuine with yourself and you show people with enthusiasm what you do,
Mm.
they will remember what you're doing.
Mm.
And that's one of the things that I remember recently. And another thing, what I always say is like the biggest lesson I learned with nomading is you're only one conversation away from someone that will change your life.
Right.
Like,
I love that.
that is something that changed when I like nomaded in this small island called Madeira. I met three people that ultimately changed my life. One was the first person that I met in Madeira that was not my housemates. I asked him how he was, and he said, "I'm good. I just quit my job." And that planted a seed in my mind of like, how come this never occurred to me, that I'm like, I'm not happy and I
Right.
want to quit my job. And this guy, he quit his job and he's happy. So that one just like planted a seed. The second one is this girl. She's a branding designer. I need to like give a shout out. Her name's Izzy. She's from the UK. Amazing, amazing branding designer. At that time, she was still a virtual assistant who does social media and everything. And how I met her was because I needed someone with a car to go to a supermarket to help me bring stuff. And she was like, yeah, I'm new, I want to like, I don't need to go to the supermarket, I just need to meet some people, and I would love to take you to the supermarket. So she took me to the supermarket without anything, and we kind of like talked a lot, and we became like really really close friends because of that. She's an introvert, and she's
What
kind of
a
like,
lead magnet. I
I
love
know,
it.
I know. So we talked a lot. I was still in my engineering phase that time, and I asked her like, listen, can you actually teach me like how to do social media? And she took like a half day from her work just to teach
Wow.
me everything, all the systems. And I'm a systems girly, so like, even if you
Hmm.
teach me like how to get clients, blah blah blah, if you don't show me the system, I'm not gonna learn from it. So she showed me everything, and honestly, I wouldn't be here right now getting the confidence in marketing if I didn't get that kind of crash course of social media. I don't like social media marketing. It's not my forte, but at least I tried it, and that was kind of like my foundation for marketing. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like thank you so much." And then this last girl that was like, not a lot of people liked her, just because she was a Karen,
Hmm.
basically. And she was a bit off from a lot of people, but at some point I had the chance to talk to her, and I was being open. And basically she's American, and she moved to Spain for like 10 years. And I asked her, how did you get a visa? Because I also don't have a European visa. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, how did you get a visa in Spain? And she told me about this visa that I already know about. I just had this limiting belief that I couldn't get it. And she
Mm-hmm.
told me, no, 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 you can do this. You just have to do this, and this. And I was like, okay. And she was the main reason that I moved from Germany to Spain. Like, if I
That's
did
so
not talk
cool.
to her, I would not have. That was also like the missing piece for before
Mm-hmm.
I could quit. Because if I quit my job in Germany, I could not stay in Europe. And I was like, all right, if I quit my job in Germany, where would I stay? All of these things. And she was the missing piece. And I was like, if I did not become open to actually talking to her, especially knowing the prejudice already around this girl, I would not have been here right now. So
Right.
these are just like small things that you would see if you were just open to like meeting people, but at the same time, obviously taking control of your energy as well.
That's so cool. Have you read Ed Milet's book? Do you know who Ed Milet is?
No.
His whole book is literally on that premise that you're talking about, where you just do one more, and it's all about visualization. I really think
Mm.
you'd like him actually, because he just talks about like whatever you're doing, just do one more of it. Like when you really want to quit, whether that's one more call, one more person to talk to, what like just anything that you do, just do one more. And I really think you'd like him.
Oh, if you can
Definitely
send
somebody
that
to
to me, I
consider.
would. Yeah, I would love
Yeah,
to
I
add that.
will. I will. He's really cool. Okay, and then the last question I have for you, and by the way, love how smart you are. I love how organized you are. Just really, really cool to get to know you on this call. What would be one piece of advice that you would want anyone listening to think about when they were getting home? Or one question that you could just have them think in their mind and ruminate on to hopefully get them to where they want to be?
Are you enjoying the journey? Because I think a lot of people get frustrated because they're not there yet. And for me, it's not about getting there. It's about the journey that you're there. So as long as you're enjoying it, it translates to the way you talk, it translates to the way you emanate yourself, and it also translates to the way that the universe is going to give you more opportunities to it.
So cool. Wait, have you heard of game theory and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're playing an infinite game. I love that.
Exactly.
Well, it's been so lovely having you on. Thank you so much for all of your insight. I feel like anyone listening to this will definitely get a lot of value out of it. So, thank you so much, Marie.
You're welcome. I hope I gave a lot of value to your followers.
You definitely did. All right, I'm gonna close off, but again, thank you so much.
Thank you.